Welcome back. It is still Wednesday, November 12th, 2014. This is still the morning edition. I'm still Yael Levi, last I checked, and thank you for staying with us. Now, on to our next topic. The Israeli initiator, Roni Frank, has launched a new application in Manhattan named Talkspace, which offers digital, real-time mental support for licensed therapists through text or video chat. The whole subject of viral therapy stirs a big discussion in the therapist world, so to try and break this down, we are joined on the phone from New York by Talkspace co-founder Roni Frank. Good morning to you, Roni.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, stay with us. In studio, we have the Clalit Health Services psychiatrist, Dr. Jordan Lewinsky.
Hi.
Good morning to you. And before we break this down, let's take a look at Tal Heinrich's report and then talk.
Every year, around 60 million Americans suffer from a mental health disorder. The majority, however, never seek treatment. Along with the high cost and accessibility, the stigma prevents them from doing so. But here is the solution, located at the busy Manhattan intersection of 5th Avenue and 23rd Street. It might look like Jake Gyllenhaal's Bubble Boy sequence, however, the people in the inflatable igloo-shaped domes are actually in the middle of a therapy session. They are texting with the Talkspace app, which offers digital, real-time mental health support from licensed therapists.
It was interesting to be in the middle of New York City in a fish bubble talking about your feelings. It's fun, but the person I was speaking to was really awesome.
The idea behind this installation, called pop-up therapy, is to raise awareness and inspire transparency, both literally and figuratively, in mental health care. The goal is to show that therapy can be accessible and affordable, and above all, that it's nothing to be ashamed of. Anyone can stop by, relax, and get a free 15-minute session with a professional.
Do you feel convenient in messaging or texting with a therapist?
I did. I think it because it's like texting, it's easier for me to like write out my feelings and things like that, rather than, when you're like sitting in front of someone, sometimes it's hard to explain things. So this kind of gives you the time to like reflect on what you want to say and, really read what they're saying and not just kind of have that. It's a little bit, I guess, like not as personal as like sitting in front of a therapist, but at the same time, like there are benefits.
The therapy process begins with a free consultation. One of the 100 Talkspace's licensed therapists assess the user's needs. Then the user is referred to a specialist and has the option to pay for text or video sessions. If one decides to pay for 3 months in advance, the cost is only $19 per week.
The younger generation, I think, when they would prefer probably to do it via text rather than like having to go somewhere. It's definitely more convenient too, like if you need it like in the middle of the night or something. I think that's good.
Although the concept of online treatment might cause some shrinks to shrink in their seats, at the moment nearly 100 therapists are providing textual healing to some 70,000 people through the Talkspace platform.
Joined by Roni Frank in New York, who's behind this, the idea of this application. Roni, once again, and good morning, and I'm wondering out loud, is this, is this about to catch on? What are the responses that this application has gotten, which, many of us are raising an eyebrow about it, because isn't the whole point of therapy actually sitting in front of somebody who reacts to you?
Hi. Can I tell a little bit about my background before we start?
Sure.
Thank you. So, I graduated computer science at the i24 Center in Israel and worked as a software developer at Amdocs for about 6 years. And I started seeing a therapist in my late 20s due to issues that my husband and I were experiencing. And we went through couple therapy for a good amount of time, and it really helped save our marriage. And my personal experience with therapy was very valuable for me, and overall I felt completely drawn to the profession and was so passionate about psychology that I went back for my master in psychoanalysis in New York, and I wanted to become a therapist myself. So during the time I was studying, however, I discovered many gaps when it came to mental health care and realized that the mental health system in America was completely broken. And the numbers that you mentioned, the recent studies show that 1 in 5 Americans suffer from mental health issues each year, and however, 65% of them are not receiving any care. So I was overwhelmed by those numbers and realized that millions of people in need are not receiving the care they need. That's when we started to explore how we can turn this into an opportunity that can help people to live better, healthier lives. we learned that the biggest barrier to therapy is cost. This was not surprising at all. I personally paid $175 each week for one 60-minute session in New York. The average cost of face-to-face therapy in the U.S. is about $120.
No, I paid $150. Yeah. No. It's the money is staggering when it comes to mental health, any kind of health services in the States. The idea behind it, now that I hear you speaking, is very, very lofty and true. This may enable many people to get to it. I want to ask, though, Dr. Lewinsky, who's here with us from the Clalit Health Services, and Roni, do stay with us online. This is controversial, though, to say the least, because when it comes to mental health, many will argue that you need kind of the personal interaction. And I'm going to straight shoot to the extreme situation. Mental health sometimes can lead people to want to commit suicide. Is this something that you think can help or hinder that?
I don't think it helps or hinders. I think these kind of platforms are enabling people to reach treatment. However, they are not intended for people who are really sick, who have serious mental problems.
Why?
Because if a person has to have a community service with social workers and psychologists and psychiatrists, these kind of platforms are not currently sufficient to provide these kind of services. However, maybe in the future they will be able to do that, and these kind of services are providing only a subset of the therapy that can be provided, because it's not the same to be in the same room with a person than to talk to him via text. It's not the same. It's not even the same to
not just
communicate.
Mental health issues, yeah.
Obviously. Even if you video chat with somebody, it's not the same as being in the same room. You can't comfort a person just like you comfort him when you can even reach out and hand him over a handkerchief or something. So it's not the same, but this is an opportunity. I believe also in telemedicine, and I believe that it enables the people who are far away from therapy. One of the main problems in mental health that there's a lack of professional care. So people who are far away or are unable to reach their therapist will be able to use these kinds of services and help themselves.
And help out. Roni Frank, I have a question to you in that respect, because the arguments would be, are there disclaimers that would come with the application? Is it directed towards people with, not severe mental health? How would this work if somebody really is in need of, immediate help? I'm talking about, again, I'm about to commit suicide. Somebody will say, what can be done then?
Therapists will do the same thing they would do if these clients would come to their private practice. I just want to say that we encourage anyone who is currently doing face-to-face therapy to continue, especially if they can remain committed and can afford it. We're not looking to replace in-person therapy. In fact, we think it's incredibly valuable. What we're trying to do is offer an alternative for millions of people in need, so the therapy is more accessible, affordable, and flexible. Some people just cannot find therapists where they live, while others cannot dedicate 60 minutes a week at a therapist. Or getting therapy also shouldn't be a hassle for the single mom balancing 2 jobs and kids. So our mission is to provide therapy for all. In fact, I have to say another thing. Talkspace therapists report that people open up much quicker compared to their private practices. And being at the forefront of this movement, we are getting a lot of feedback through our network of over 100 licensed therapists, where our members are telling us that Talkspace changed their lives because it finally gave them access to professional help. Just for example, we have a 50-year-old scientist who suffers from depression for many years, but never looked for professional help because he was afraid his colleagues finding out and hurting his professional reputation.
I can say in that respect, that looks like something that could really help people who are afraid and ashamed, which they should not be. I can start, we will stress this out loud. But at the end of the day, if this, this can you think that this can replace, Roni, hold on, I'm asking Dr. Lewinsky, this does replace therapy completely in those instances?
No, I don't think they also don't think that it will replace anything. I think that
no, but I know they don't, but people may feel that that's what they want to do, just that.
For some people, it will be enough. For some people, it will be enough, and that's good for them.
Hey, listen, I mean, Roni Frank, it's a fascinating application and launch that you've done there. Thank you for joining us this morning. Dr. Lewinsky, thank you for being with us as well. We move to